Well, to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast. For today, we're going over UFC Fight Night Katter versus Emmett. First things first, as always, make sure you give this video a like, hit that subscribe button. Give a follow over on YouTube, over on Twitter, over on Instagram, over on TikTok. We're taking over, baby. It's going to be hard to take over with the results of last week. They were not the greatest. We got screwed. We called Jacob Malkoun. We called it. He won that fight. We absolutely got hosed there. And the loss, I mean, Sun Woo Choi, God. There was a quick pivot from Dana to Sun Woo Choi. So that's why you got to make sure you follow Twitter for the updates. But either way, they both lost. And Manel Kopp got scrapped from the card. So all in all, it was not that people were losing screw jobs. People were getting surprised and upset. People were getting scrapped from the card completely. There's nothing you can do there. Shit happens. But usually when you have a really bad week, it's important that you don't let that get to you. And, you bounce back the following week. And we have a great fight card here. We have not been able to say that for a while. It's been great pay-per-view, really, really crappy fight cards. And you just have to bet to make them entertaining. This one, I could just sit down and watch without any bets. But this is a sports betting podcast. We're not going to do that. We're going to get into it. We're going to go ahead and make some money while we're enjoying ourselves. So, I mean, the first chance we have to make money is this very first fight of the night here. We have Cerrone Win at plus 210 going up against Phil Hawes at minus 260. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is minus 110. Under 2.5 plus 120. God, I don't even. Let's start with Phil Hawes. For a reason. Phil Hawes is what the Dogger Pass podcast calls an apple pie shitter. Anytime this dude is a favorite, he finds a way to lose fights. I believe he was, I bet against Phil Hawes against Chris Curtis for sure and made a lot of money that night. I bet on Phil Hawes to beat Kyle Dawkins. And the reason is because Phil Hawes is not a bad fighter. Phil Hawes is good wrestling, 100% takedown defense actually right now. He has a shit ton of power. The dude can crack, and his striking is not bad. He pressures you going forward. He will have a 7-inch reach advantage here, just all even more reason to bet him this fight. The problem with Phil Hawes is that he has two things. He has a bad chin, and he has a bad gas tank. And those are the two most important things in MMA. If you can't take a punch or if you can't go 15 minutes, you have a little bit of an issue and you're always liable for an upset. And that's the exact reason why I bet Chris Curtis against him, because Chris Curtis has good cardio and he can hit hard. I bet him against Kyle Dawkins because Phil Hawes is a good fighter. He was the dog in that fight. So that's the difference. I bet him as a dog. Nasruddin Imavimov, I stayed away from it. Actually, I might have bet Nasruddin as a dog there. So that's the one time Phil Hawes got me. Jacob Malkoun, make UFC debut. We knew it was just Whitaker's boy. I was not going to bet him in that fight because, again, Jacob Malkoun, I didn't know about his gas tank. I didn't know how hard he hit. So I just stayed away from it. It's like whenever you have him going against someone with a good gas tank or hits hard, he is in some trouble. This fight isn't that. With Cerrone Win, it's actually the opposite. Cerrone Win can't really strike that well. I mean, it's okay, but Phil Hawes is clearly the better striker here. I mean, Win is also hittable. He gets hit more than he dishes out. And his gas tank is a little suspect as well. In all honesty, he's only 5'6". This dude is not a middleweight. I'm telling you right now, this dude is 5'6", 185, and has missed weight before. That's very, very, very concerning. And I talked about not betting Jacob Malkoun, who is just Robert Whitaker's boy. Cerrone Win is basically the same thing. This is a great wrestler who is DC's boy. That's all it comes down to. The difference is Cerrone only has 2 losses on his record. And they were both because he gassed out. It was one because he gassed out against Darren Stewart. He lost a split, and one he gassed out after whooping Jared Mearshardt's ass and let Mearshart come back and choke him out because he got tired. So, I mean, all in all, when you look at his wins, I mean, Tom Lawler, not the greatest win there. He's kind of washed there. Eric Spicely, yeesh, one of the worst UFC prospects ever. Antonio Arroyo, yeesh. So, honestly, Cerrone Win is only beaten guys that are no longer in the promotion. So that's a little concerning. But the biggest thing is the thing that tires you out the most in MMA is wrestling. Deron Wynn knows that is all he can do. All he can do is wrestle, and at a very, very high level. So even if Phil Hawes is able to stuff a few takedowns, I see that Deron Wynn does shoot a lot of single legs. And again, if you're a taller guy, you want to go body lock. If you're a shorter guy, you want to go for their legs. It's easier access. No one's going to be shorter than Deron Wynn at the 185-pound weight class. And I don't know who's going to take down Phil Hawes. Like Jacob Malkoun would have tried. But outside of that, like Kyle Dawkins isn't a good wrestler, and Nasruddin isn't really a wrestler. Yeah, he's 100% takedown defense, but he's not fighting wrestlers. Deron's going to make you wrestle. So at that juncture, you're looking at two people that aren't the greatest strikers, but I'd give the advantage to Hawes. You have two people that are good wrestlers. I would actually give the wrestling advantage to Deron Wynn. And we've never seen Hawes on his back. We don't know what he has down there. He could definitely break down there. And then you have two people that have suspect gas tank. Who has a better gas tank? I don't know. I think it might be a tie. So if Deron Wynn is in fact a better wrestler and is spending most of the time on top, opposed to Phil Hawes, who then has to keep working his way up, I can see a very, very boring holding you down wrestling decision. Or I can see a Phil Hawes quick knockout. It's either way. My weird thing is that they booked this fight 3 times. They booked it. This is the 3rd time this fight has been booked. They even booked this fight before Phil Hawes fought, before he fought Chris Curtis. He was scheduled to fight someone else, and he was double booked like Khamzat Chimaev, like Khamzat was when he was booked to fight Gerald Mearshart, as well as like Gill and stuff later on. He's been double booked, and I don't know why they double booked Phil Hawes with Deron Wynn. They really, really want Phil Hawes to fight Deron Wynn. So the pick is going to be Phil Hawes because the UFC wants it so badly. The bet, God, I can't trust either one of their gas tanks. So just give me the plus 200, just solely on the fact that it's plus money, literally. All right. That was a lot of talking in circles for a fight that no one cares about. So let's jump to one that's a little more entertaining here. This one may not be as entertaining, actually. It's at Roman Dolidze at plus 190, going up against Kyle Dawkins at minus 235. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 145. Under 2.5 plus 115. I, of course, have to start with Roman Dolidze, aka Mr. Bays. You heard it right. When Cheyenne Bays and JP Bays broke up, there was another man in between, and it is Mr. Roman Dolidze himself. So first and foremost, the dude's a scrapper. If you're dating Cheyenne Bays, he definitely she seems like the type of girl that wakes up in the morning and just throws a head kick at him, and he just starts like giggling at her. Like, these two are fucking crazy. He is predominantly at light heavyweight. He did make a jump down to middleweight for the first time against Trevin Giles a little bit ago. And then he took another fight at 185 against Leonardo Staropoli. But all in all, he's a light heavyweight. He has really good jiu-jitsu, sneaky good jiu-jitsu. Like a 2nd degree black belt or something crazy like that. The only thing is, when you look at his record, you see a lot of decisions and knockouts. Because the dude hits hard. He hits really, really hard. He had some heel hooks earlier. But all in all, he's not a good striker. It's okay. It's just very, very low volume. That's his issue. And that's the reason he's losing split decisions to Trevin Giles, is solely or going into split decisions against John Alon, because it's such low volume when he's striking. His wrestling is fine. He's a decent wrestler. He's not a chain grappler. He's looking to time it. So he lets you pop off, and then he's going to time this shot and get you down. And once he gets you down, he can just hold you there forever, it seems like, because the jiu-jitsu is top level. His gas tank, he does slow down. He's not a gas bag by any means, but he will slow down considerably. All in all, I mean, Roman, his fight IQ, everyone talks about being an issue because of the famous, "Do you want me to submit him?" When he's talking to his corner, he was literally not paying attention to his opponent and having full-fledged conversations with his corner, asking when and how they want him to submit his opponent. Like, not total disrespect. I thought it was hilarious. Can you trust that guy? Probably not. Then his next fight out was sketchy against Trevin Giles. I thought he won, but it is what it is. And then Staropoli, he just bear hugged him the entire fight. He did nothing. He literally just bear hugged him. And we've seen that they're not rewarding those fighters as of late. So if he comes out with that strategy again, he's in some trouble. Kyle Dawkins, on the other hand, he's not good and he's not bad. You do see constant improvement, though. I do honestly think he's the better Dawkins brother. I thought Chris Dawkins is always a little overrated, in all honesty. I love people that come from CFCC. There's a few on here this card with Kyle and with Jeremiah Wells. Like, I love that promotion as a regional scene. You look at like Pat Sabatini, Sean Brady, all these guys are coming from the same promotion and they're all killers. So I do like that. He has good jiu-jitsu himself. He's also a black belt. He has, his wrestling's okay. It's not the greatest. I wish it was a little better since he's so good on the ground. And his striking is improving. It was one of his weak spots, but again, he's 29 years old, and every single time I see him fight, he's getting better and better. His cardio checks out. We've seen him go a hard 15 against like Brendan Allen on short notice. We saw him go 15 against Dustin Stolfus, Phil Hawes. He always had the better cardio in all of those fights. He has an 86% takedown defense. So that's really important going against Roman, who wants to just take you down and hold you and do nothing. So it's a very, very interesting concept. On the feet, Roman will land the harder shots. Kyle will land more volume. On the ground, I want to say the edge goes to Roman. But he's been positioned over submission as of late, so it's slightly Roman or just a tie at worst. And then when it comes to the wrestling, I think it's kind of a wash. I guess I would partially give the edge to Kyle, but just very, very, very close, just like the jiu-jitsu. So this is a close fight, all in all. And we're in Texas. I don't see Roman knocking out Kyle. He's never been knocked out before. I don't see Kyle knocking anyone out. And I don't see Kyle submitting Roman. And I don't see Roman submitting Kyle. So I do like the over here. That's the only way I would bet this fight. We are in Texas. I don't think I mentioned that. Texas is the worst, the absolute worst when it comes to judging. If you have problems with the Holly Holm decision, if you have problems with the Jeff Molina decision, if you have problems like I do with the Jacob Malkoon decision, those are just prerequisites for what's about to go down in Austin. They are wild cards. I do not want to bet a fight that could go to a decision because I don't know what the judges are looking at. They're all over the place. So if you can avoid it, there's going to be a lot of round totals and a lot of finishes that I'm taking shots on because I do not trust their judging. So in a close fight like this where a lot of things are even, I don't hate the dog shot at plus 190. I think the line's a little wide. But I can't trust these judges. Over 2.5, only minus 145. That's parlay material, baby. So the pick is going to be Kyle. The bet would be the over 2.5. And that takes us to the next fight of the night. An interesting one here. And Eddie Weinman plus 400 going up against Cody Stamann at minus 550. Over 2.5 is minus 155. Under 2.5 at plus 125. And let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. They're trying to get Cody Stamann to win. When you look at his record, you see 19-5. You see that he's on like a 2 or 3 fight losing streak. Yeah, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. Please look at who he lost to. He got sacrificed to Saeed Nurmagomedov, who is a future champ probably. Murad Delashvili, who just got announced like a #1 contenders fight with Jose Aldo, so might potentially fight for the title after that. And then Jimmy Rivera, who is just nonstop, always very, very good, always top 5. He's basically the gatekeeper of the division. So his losses are to 3 people that are in the top 10. Like, give this guy a break is what they're saying. He's very, very good. Cody Stamann himself is a little bit of a gatekeeper. He has really good wrestling. He has really good striking. His jiu-jitsu is, it's all right. I know he got guillotined in 40 seconds and he got knee barred by Aljamain, but they're very, very good on the ground. So, I mean, it is what it is. All in all, he's a really good fighter, and he's probably a top 10 bantamweight, but that's probably where his limit is, at 10. That's it. As soon as he fights anyone better than 10, he's probably going to lose. If he fights anyone worse than 10, he's probably going to win. And that's exactly what Eddie Weinman is. Eddie Weinman is a former WEC bantamweight champ from like 20 years ago. I think I was legitimately in middle school when he was champion. The dude's like 37, I want to say right now. Where's he at? let's see, how old? Yep, he's 37 years old. Jesus. He's the dude that they are sacrificing everyone to. They're like, Eddie, we really, you're a former champ. We want to build people, so you're gonna fight the guys we're trying to build. So his last fight, he got knocked out by Sexy Mexi and John Castaneda. They like John Castaneda. I don't really know why. Sean O'Malley, let's be real, the Sugar Show, knocked him out in 2 minutes. All of these are first round knockouts because he's 37 years old and that chin is leaving him. All in all, he has good striking. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage here, but everyone seems to have a reach over Cody Stamann. And Eddie's been hittable as of late. He's been getting hit a lot more than he's dishing out. I know John Castaneda, I actually think he was out striking him before he got knocked out, but John is very low volume, and that's the usual with John. Eddie has an 86% takedown percent, which is big. But the problem is all of these fights, he's starting to gas out a little as well. So he's just really got an old man puncher's chance is all he has at this point. They're just trying to give Cody a win at this point. That's all they're trying to do. They're trying to out with the old and with the new. They're both on losing streaks. One of them's 37 years old and one of them is not. So there's a reason Cody Stamann is minus 500. The pick is going to be Cody Stamann. The bet's going to be Cody Stamann. Then the next fight of the night, we have our first live dog. We have Ricardo Ramos minus 300 going up against Danny Chavez at plus 235. Over 2.5 is minus 185. Under 2.5 at plus 150. Let me tell you why. It's all on the Ricardo Ramos side. First and foremost, I think Ricardo Ramos is very good. I think Ricardo Ramos is very young and improving every single fight. He's only 26. He's been in the UFC forever. I think Ricardo Ramos only has losses to good people. He lost to Zubiria, is good, one of Habib's boys. He lost to Lerone Murphy, good. No one talks about how good Lerone Murphy is. Lost to Saeed Nurmagomedov, good. Like those are his losses. Who was his other loss? I thought he lost 4. Oh, Manny Vasquez, way back in the back. Oh God, all the way back in 2016. He was just a child then. So anyway. He moved over to Team Alpha Male, and this is the reason. He has a really, really good ground game. Very good ground game. Wrestling, not so much. He's went over to Team Alpha Male, who are predominantly wrestlers, are known for their wrestling, and it looked pretty good in one of his last fights there against Bill Algeo. It looked pretty good. Here's the problem. Everyone takes down Bill Algeo. It's not hard. I can take down Bill Algeo. I'm not trying to discredit Bill Algeo. I ride with Bill Algeo all the time. He is a phenomenal, one of the best get-up games I've ever seen. Takedown defense, he is the new age Carlos Condit. Carlos Condit would win a lot of fights. He'd get a lot of finishes. He'd look real cool, real exciting fights. And you don't realize how many times a man got taken down. That's Bill Algeo. All in all, again, Ramos, phenomenal on the ground. Good wrestling now where he's at. And his striking's good. It's a lot better than I remember it being as I did fight tape. His striking is good. The only issue is, even though it looks real crisp and clean, he is hittable. He doesn't believe in head movement for whatever reason. And he might be a little chinny. Part of that could be because he used to fight at 135. Fighting Saeed, fighting Journey Newsome, Kung Ho Kang. All of those are bantamweights. He decided to make the move up to featherweight back in 2020. And I mean, I get it. He's young. His body's like he's starting to bulk up and get bigger and bigger. I totally understand that. Not a terrible move. He will have a 5-inch reach advantage here. I like that a lot. I like it almost as much as he gets rocked, which is a lot. Just because he doesn't get knocked out all the time. I mean, Lerone put him out. Saeed put him out. Yeah, you look at his losses; they're all finishes, except for Zabira. So, all in all, I think the kid is uber talented. I think he's super young. He's getting better and better. He's good every facet of the game. The issue is his wrestling is a little inflated. The Bill Algeo fight inflated his wrestling, his takedown numbers a little bit. Danny Chavez, not going to be that easy to take down. He has 87% takedown defense. And he mixes in wrestling sometimes. I don't foresee him doing it here. But what Danny does is he's a new age, the Die Hard MMA podcast is a perfect comparison. He's a new age Chuck Liddell. He has a neck tap and everything. He will sprawl and brawl. He hits kind of hard. Very good boxing. That's pretty much all he uses. And he's very, very hard to take down. And if you do take him down, he's popping right back up and continuing to strike on the ground. He himself is a little hittable. That threw me off. And I was also thrown off by how low volume he is. That is not something I realized. Also, he's 35 years old. So there's a reason this guy is the underdog. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's some hot prospect that's going to come out and get nothing but W's. But he is a little, he has some sketchy stuff, but he's at MMA Masters, which is a good gym. He has good striking, and I think it's better than Ricardo Ramos is. And if Ramos can't get him to the ground, they're forced to strike where Danny wants to be. So as long as he can put that volume up a little bit, these power shots he hits, again, Ramos has a little bit of a shaky chin. All it takes is one. I'm not saying he's going to put him out, because Ramos doesn't just go out there and get knocked out every fight, but he does get rocked almost every fight, and that could win you around. So with these odds, I can't take the guy that will struggle to take him. If you're going to struggle to take Danny Chavez down, and they're forced to stand and you get wobbled all the time, and Danny Chavez is the underdog at plus 230, I'll take those shots all day. So the pick is going to be Danny. The bet is going to be Danny. It's just a value play. You got to take it. All right. Speaking of value, we're going to ignore it for this fight. We're not going to be on this fight long. Maria Oliveira plus 215 going up against Gloria DePaula at minus 265. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 330. Under 2.5 at plus 240. I don't even know who to start with. Let's start with Maria Oliveira, because I made a big note the last time I saw her fight, and it said, fade, no matter what. Do not bet Maria Oliveira. This chick, oh my God. Let's just take a quick look at the girls that she has fought, all the soccer moms that she beat. She lost to Tabitha Ricci, who I think is the most overrated girl in the division. I'm actually glad that she beat Polyana Viana, because I can't wait to fade Tabitha Ricci. I think that she muscles everything, can't strike to save her life. Don't get me started on Tabitha Ricci. She's not good. And Tabitha Ricci, I thought, kind of dominated Maria. But that was her first fight in the UFC, and she lost. She got sacrificed to Marina Rodriguez. They knew what they were doing there, and Marina made her quit. Literally, she turned around and said, I don't want to fight anymore. That's a red flag. Never, ever, ever want to see someone, even if you quit on the stool. I'm thinking of like Cynthia Calvillo last fight. If you just quit, like you shoot a lazy takedown and just sit there, those are both sketchy. To just turn around and go, I don't want to fight anymore, I can never back you. You're not going to fight for my money. I don't want any part of it. And then I look at her wins. She beat someone that was 0-0, 0-1, 3-3, 0-5, 2-0 winning record, 1-0, 0-0, 1-3, 1-4, 0-1, 0-0, 0-0. So she has beat one person with a winning record. She's 12-5. She has 17 career fights, has beat one person with a winning record. Is that not concerning to you? I don't really, and she's a Black Brazilian. I didn't know those existed. I'm very thrown off here. I don't want any part of Maria Oliveira. Secondly, Gloria DePaula. What do I like about her? What could make me possibly bet on Maria? Gloria 6-4, so that's a red flag. But I'm looking at her record here. She lost to Cheyenne Velismus, aka Cheyenne Bays. Jesus, she's nuts. She got head kicked to hell. I remember that. She was getting up and everyone thought it might have been illegal. She just got caught. There's nothing you can do there. It's not like she has a habit of going out there and getting knocked out. But her losses, again, Cheyenne Bays is at least decent. Jinyu Fry, vet of the game. Ariana Carnelosi, good. Has no takedown defense, but is good. I don't know who Isabella De Padra is, but outside of that, 3 of her 4 losses, even though some of them were on the regional scene, are against UFC competition, people that are still in the UFC and like almost ranked in the UFC. So not the worst losses on the records. The win, Diana Belbita, that's a decent win, especially because it was mostly a stand-up fight, and that's what Diana likes to do. So that's a good win for her. The other wins, she beat someone that was undefeated and in the contender series to get a contract. That's fine. I don't know the rest of these people. They were 3-2, 0-0, 0-3. Sketchy, but at least she beat more than one person with a winning record. Her striking, all in all, is good. Her cardio, great. Wrestling, bad. But Maria can't wrestle, so it doesn't matter. And she dates Myra Bueno Silva, so her ground game's probably okay because Myra's a black belt. I'm sure they're rolling around a ton. So at the end of the day, if she's going to be the better jiu-jitsu practitioner and the better striker, she has the edge here. Even if the striking is 50-50, I told myself I would never, but I will never bet on Maria Oliveira. I think she's the worst fighter in the division. So the pick is going to be Gloria. The bet, honestly, neither one of these girls get finishes. I like the over a lot. It's juice to the tits at minus 330. So if you want a little bit more value, I would just go Gloria at minus 265. If you're just eating chalk regardless, I mean, the over at minus 330, it's 330 for a reason. All right. Then the next fight of the night is one I'm really confused about. We have Jasmine Jasdavicius at minus 240 going up against Natalia Silva at Natalia Silva at plus 195. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 255. Under 2.5 plus 175. I'm lost. I don't know what's going on. Because Jasmine Jasdavicius isn't that good. She's 33 years old and she only has 8 pro fights because she started late. She started like dating UFC. She started dating like an MMA trainer and it's like, hey, I want to try it. I'm athletic. And she was good at it. I wish she would have started earlier in life, but I mean, just making the most of it. Her one loss being to Elise Reed, who's in the UFC, and it was a split decision. And I watched that. I didn't think she lost. So, all in all, she has sneaky good wrestling for someone that did not wrestle like ever. She has pretty good wrestling in that magnitude. She's fought a lot of people at the UFC. I mean, Kay Hansen, Elise Reed, compared to Silva, who also fought soccer moms. She has 85% takedown defense, which is going to be really, really big here. Her striking isn't good. It's pretty bad, in all honesty. And her cardio isn't the greatest. She does start to slow down, which is very rare in women's MMA. So that is a little concerning. The only good news is that she's fighting Silva, who is making her UFC debut. She's not very good herself. She's very young and she looks it. She's 25 and that's kind of how she fights, like she's 25. Her wrestling was okay from what I saw. It looked pretty on the level of Jasmine. The striking did not look good. She was fast, but she would strike nothing but combinations. This is good. She would string like hook combinations. And as she did it, her chin, I've never seen a chin higher in the air in my life. She's begging to get countered. Like one of these chicks are going to put her out. So maybe I am scared of the over. I have no idea. So Jasmine's looks crisper. Silva is no technique but fast. So I don't know what you want there. I don't know. She's very hittable. Her jiu-jitsu seems to be okay. A lot of like key locks and arm bars and stuff. I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with this fight. I don't think either one is UFC caliber. The thing is, women's MMA, there's not a lot of good wrestlers, so they can get away with it. Both of these women like to grapple. I don't know who's better at grappling. I think that's going to decipher who wins this fight. So at that juncture, part of me wanted to lean Natalia, just go dog or pass and say screw it. But I got to stick with my gut and stick with Jasmine. I think the line is way off. I do not think Jasmine Jasdavicius should be a minus 240 favorite over anybody. But 25-year-old UFC debuting fighter who's asking to get clipped. The pick is going to be Jasmine. The bet, God, I hate to throw Jasmine in parlays. I guess you can do the over. It's not a big difference at minus 240. I know Natalia has some finishes here, but yeah, the pick is going to be Jasmine. I would probably just bet the over. It's women's MMA. Hopefully over 2.5 hits for you. Then the next fight of the night is the people's main event. We have Jeremiah Wells at plus 100 now, going up against Court McGee at minus 120. Over 2.5 is minus 195. Under 2.5 at plus 155. Interesting. I know why the line is that way. It's because of Court McGee. Court McGee is like the male version of Caitlin Chukagian. What is it? They say at Die Hard MMA Pass. It's death, taxes, and Court McGee by decision. That's what he loves to do. I mean, look at his last few fights here. Decision. The last time a fight did not go to a decision was the only time he's ever been knocked out, and that was in 2016. Wow, 6 years ago. Then decision. A few arm triangles here. Good for you. Back in 2010. We are talking 12 years ago. Oh my God. The last time he won a fight inside the distance was 12 years ago. This man has been fighting in the UFC since 2010, and he has one inside the distance finish. Wow. That's why the line is the way it is. The over at minus 195 there. Court's good, man. He has good striking. He has good wrestling. He's okay wrestling. He has 70% takedown defense, but he has a really, really good get up game, like top notch get up game. When you take him down, his hips pop up. And that's part of the issue because he has a really good gas tank and continually do that. So he has these guys that, 70%, you can take Court down if you really want to, and you try enough times, but you exert all that effort to get Court to the ground, and then he just pops up and you have to do it all over again, and it just wears on you and tires guys out. He's super durable. Yeah, he doesn't get wins by finish, but he's only been finished once in his entire career. I mean, the man has 31 fights. He's been finished once. So he's super durable, good striking, okay wrestling, okay jiu-jitsu. He's never been tapped. Good cardio. I mean, that's basically all you could want in a fighter, in all honesty, and that's why he keeps winning even at an old age. He's 37 though. At some point, someone's going to catch that chin, and his legendary durability is going to go. That's it. No one is undefeated against Father Time. No one can it's just not going to happen. At some point, at some age, it's going to catch up to him. And if it does, I don't mind taking the stab at a guy named Jeremiah Wells here. The aforementioned CFFC, as you see here in the background, my top tier regional scene. He has okay striking. It's not as good as I thought it was when I went back and watched fight tape, but he hits like a truck, man. This guy has a lot of power. He's explosive as hell. He has sneaky good jiu-jitsu. No one talks about how he's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. His main training partner is Sean Brady, so this dude's jiu-jitsu. He's always grinding on the ground with Sean Brady. That's a good thing to have. His wrestling's good. He's an athletic specimen. He will blast W to shit. He's 35. He did get a very late start in the UFC. Not a fan of that. Court definitely has fought the better competition. And his gas tank isn't the greatest. It's not the best, in all honesty. He does not gas by any means. He is not a gas bag, but he does slow. And Court in round 1 and Court in round 3 are the same guy. Jeremiah in round 1 and Jeremiah in round 3, nowhere near the same guy. He's there. He's going to fight for your money, but those punches are going to come just as hard, but you're going to see him coming a mile away. So that leads us to the line flip. Jeremiah Wells opened as the favorite. He's now a plus 100 dog, and more money is coming in on Court McGee. He's going to close as an even bigger dog here. God. My brain says Court McGee because you always trust the cardio. My heart says I'm a Jeremiah Wells guy, and I think he is the better jiu-jitsu and the better wrestling. It's just, can he keep Court down? Or can he catch Court? He has a chance to do both. So at that juncture, smart thing to do is to stay away from this fight, in all honesty. Just stay away from it. But that under at plus 155, interesting. I don't see any other way Jeremiah Wells wins. So the pick is going to be Court. The bet is going to be Jeremiah Wells. And honestly, I'd try to juice it. I would do Jeremiah Wells inside the distance just to get more money in case it does happen, because that's the only way he's going to win this fight. And then that takes us to the prelim main event. We have Adrian Yanez, everyone's darling, minus 320 going up against Tony, Mr. KGB Kelly, plus 250. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 110, under 2.5 minus 120. Let's start with Tony Kelly. Let's address the elephant in the room. He is under a lot of scrutiny as of late after Andrea Lee's fight. He is dating Andrea Lee. He was in her corner and he made some comments about the Brazil. He made some comments about Brazil. He should not have, what did he said, like the dirty Brazilians or something like that. So he kind of has that racist label on him. He currently lives in Texas, so it kind of checks out. From Louisiana, kind of checks out. Ah, God. It's not the first time he's had some race issues in the octagon. And you know what? It kind of makes me think about Cody Durden made some racist comments about like the Chinese culture when he was fighting Arichi Lang. Everyone hated it, and then they fed him Muradov or Murkadov, however you say that young kid's name, that's like 22 and everyone thinks is a future champ. They're like, let's give him that guy and see what happens. And then the young guy went out and starched him and absolutely like ended Cody Durden's career, knocked him out and tapped him out in the same fight. I'm kind of catching similar vibes here because Tony Kelly, Mr. KGB Lee himself, he has good striking. His cardio is okay. He has pretty high volume. He will dish a ton out there. His wrestling's not that good. He's 35 years old, and he's fighting the hot prospect in Adrian Yanez. They made a list of the top 5 boxers in the UFC currently, and Adrian Yanez made the list. He is one of the top 5 per whoever made this article. I believe it's an ESPN article. It's like an actual article. He's the 28-year-old opposed to the 35-year-old. He's from Houston, Texas. The fight card is in Texas. He's the prospect the UFC has been pushing. Tony Kelly is not. He has good striking and high volume. That's what Tony Kelly's good at. But Tony Kelly only strikes. And they're giving him someone who only strikes but is a better striker. They know what they're doing. Adrian has good striking, good cardio, high volume, even higher than Tony Kelly's. 100% takedown defense. So if Tony did decide he wanted to wrestle, he couldn't. And Tony only has a 52% takedown defense. So if Yanez wanted to wrestle, he can. Yanez has every check mark. He has a check mark in every single box. The UFC is trying to punish Tony Kelly and trying to hype up Adrian Yanez in his hometown. He's going to look like the hero. Issue is, I mean, we're in Texas. I don't think they really care about Tony Kelly's comments about dirty Brazilians in Texas. Texas might agree with them. Oh, yeah. So I don't know. I think the UFC tried to do here, but at the end of the day, it's a setup fight. And the odds show it. Yanez is minus 320. Tony Kelly plus 250, and those lines are about right. Only thing to be scared of is the fact that Yanez is a slow starter. If Tony Kelly came out and won the first round, I would not be surprised. It takes Yanez like 2 minutes to get accustomed to fights for whatever reason. Like he gets punched in the face a few times, and then he kind of analyzes what's going on. Like as soon as you start throwing, all of a sudden he figures you out, and then it's game over. That's what he does. Peter Yan does the same shit. It's really odd. He just, after a few minutes, he figures you out, but he usually loses those first few as he's figuring you out. But it's a 15-minute fight. He'll do it fast enough, and he's going to kill him. So the pick is going to be Yanez. The bet is going to be Yanez. Next fight of the night. Every single fight card, I have a real greasy play. One where no one sees it coming, huge value, and you feel like an absolute badass when you get it right. And that play is going to be in this fight here, the first fight on the main card. We have RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez at minus 170 going up against the Cuban Missile Crisis Julian Marquez at plus 150. Over 2.5 is minus 110. Under 2.5 minus 120. Let's start with RoboCop because Gregory Rodriguez is good. Gregory Rodriguez is world class on the ground. Very, very, very good on the ground. Probably a top 10 guy in jiu-jitsu in the UFC. He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage here. That's important. RoboCop is one of these guys that is so good on the ground that he feels comfortable throwing weird stuff on the feet. And man, he hits hard. I can't say he's a great striker. He's pretty robotic. But when he hits you feel it. I mean, look at the guy. I have no idea how he makes middleweight. First of all, he's the oldest looking 30-year-old. I'm basically 30. We do not look the same age. I don't know what he has going on here. I don't know. Or how he makes weight, man. Black House is not a bad camp. It's a good camp to be at. He has surprisingly high volume, which might attribute to why he slows down so much. He does gas out after a while. And he is very, very, very hittable and chinny. He's very chinny. He's one of these, what they would call a glass cannon. He's someone that when he hits you, you go the fuck out. But if you hit him, he goes the fuck out. He can dish it, but he can't take it. You look at his record. What is he? 11-4. He has a split decision loss to Arman. Okay, he survived. His other loss, knockout to Jordan Williams, does not look good. Jordan Williams was the diabetic welterweight. Jordan Williams went up a weight class, diabetes and all, and knocked out RoboCop. Not a good look. His other loss, Renato Rangrel, was a split because he got tired. And then Bruno Lopez knocked him out in 1 minute. So he lost 2 decisions because he gassed out, and he lost 2 fights because he got knocked out because he has a bad chin. That's not, what did we say about Phil Hawes earlier? We don't like bad chins, and we don't like people without gas tanks. We cannot bet these guys when they're the favorite. I bet RoboCop against Jung Yo Park when he was the dog. I bet him against Dusko Tavorovich when he was the dog. There's not a shot in hell. No way am I going to bet him as a favorite. And you know what? Actually, he was not a dog against Jung Yo Park. It ended up being a split, and I think he ended up being the favorite. Either way, I bet him at dog money. Julian Marquez, on the other hand, has never been finished, so he has that going for him. So Gregory, if he's going to hit him and he doesn't put him out, that's a little concerning for Gregory because he does gas out. Julian doesn't. He's one of these guys that just has continually good gas tank. He doesn't hit particularly hard, but he can clip you hard enough. He has a few knockout wins. He knocked out the aforementioned Phil Hawes. You just can't. Maybe that's more of just Phil Hawes not being able to take a hit. But Marquez has sneaky good submissions. What he's not good at is takedown defense. That's the concerning part. He has 53% takedown defense. I do not like that. His striking is good. I would say it's on the same level as Gregory, if not a little better. He's 32. He's not super old, not super young. He came back from a big back injury. So a lot of people point to the 53% takedown defense and how Maki Pitolo out-wrestled him, and that's what Gregory Rodriguez is going to do. Dude, he beat Alicio Di Chirico in 2018 and came back 3 years later. He had, they thought his career was over because that's how bad his back was. But he managed to battle back, got everything situated, and now he's rocking and rolling. That Maki Pitolo fight was his first fight in 3 years. It's not like he was just sitting back getting better. He had a bad back. He couldn't train. He couldn't do anything. He came back, and he looked a little rusty. But he has good cardio. The cardio went nowhere. And Mackie gassed out, and Julian tapped him out. Sam Alvey came out swinging. All he could do was try to have a puncher's chance. Julian pieced him up on the feet and then choked him out. He has a lot of wins by finish. Front choke, anaconda choke, rear naked choke, punches. He can knock you out or he can tap you out. He's a finisher. I don't think he's ever gone to a decision and won. No, both his losses are by decision. So he's durable. He has good cardio, and he's a finisher. Rodriguez, on the other hand, is a finisher with no cardio and a bad chin. So I love Julian Marquez inside the distance. We have ourselves yet another live dog, but we're going to take it one step further, baby. We're going to try to pinpoint what's going to happen. And what I keep getting, I cannot get this fight out of my mind. Fluffy Hernandez, the black belt hunter. I cannot get Rodolfo Vieira versus Anthony Hernandez out of my mind. What is the difference here? You have the black belt hunter was world-class on the ground, great wrestling, no gas tank, looked phenomenal in the first round, and ended up losing to a purple belt by submission. Marquez has a lot of wins where he was getting out-wrestled, taken down, but he has a good gas tank and a pretty good ground game. And whenever you have these guys that are nasty on the ground and they gas out, they will shoot a desperation takedown. Fluffy got a one-arm guillotine because Rodolfo was that tired he had to quit. RoboCop, if he comes out here and his game plan is to wrestle, since Julian has a 53% takedown defense, wrestling is the most tiring part of MMA. If Julian keeps getting up and Robo has to keep taking him down, he's going to get tired. And you know what? I cannot get the sight of Fluffy guillotining Rodolfo out of my head. And I look at his last 3 fights. Sam Alvey, submission. There's Maki Pitolo, submission. Darren Stewart, submission. And 2 of those, anaconda choke and front choke are off of sloppy takedowns. If RoboCop shoots a sloppy takedown while gassed out, I cannot unsee it. So the pick is going to be Julian Marquez. The bet, fuck it. Julian by submission. It's like plus 1,000. I'm taking the bookies' money. Next up, we have Coutiladze at plus 135 going up against Damir Ismagulov at minus 155. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 220, under 2.5 at plus 170. Let's start with Guram because we haven't seen him in a while. He's good, man. He's 12-2, one of these Georgian fighters that everyone loves. Very good striking, like high level striking. His jiu-jitsu, little questionable. I believe both of his losses are by submission, so that's a little concerning. Loves to counter. He's not someone that goes out there and just bull rushes you. He has a shit ton of technique. He's very, very technical, very, very good on the feet. But I do see most of his power shots coming as he counters you. He has a loss by knee bar there. All in all, I don't have a lot to say about him. I could only find like 4 fights. 3, I want to say. It was like 3 or 4. And one of them was the Matus Gamrot fight where I don't think he won personally. It was close, but I don't think he won that fight. But it is what it is. What are you going to do? Then he took a long absence, and now he's back. I don't know why he was gone for 2 years. I didn't really hear about it. So I could be it could be a little concerning. But again, I just, at this rate, I just know that he's a good striker. That's basically all you need to know about Guram is that he's a good striker. Damir, on the other hand, is also a good striker. He will mix in takedowns. He has sneaky good wrestling. He's another one of these guys that are about timing, not chain wrestling. So he'll shoot a blast double at the appropriate time. Good for him. Jiu-jitsu is okay. He has a few jiu-jitsu. He has a few submission wins. All in all, he's a little bit of a generalist, but he's a sleeper generalist. The dude's 23-1. The dude's very, very, very good, and yet nobody knows his name. He's only 31 years old, so it's not like he's super old. He does take some time in between fights. His last win was a year ago, over a year ago against Rafael Alves, who's not that bad. His last win before that was 2 years ago against Thiago Moises, who's not that bad. Joel Alvarez was in that same year, who's not that bad. Like, these are ranked guys. All in all, that's the issue, and that's why you don't know him, is because he has fought 2 times in the last 3 years. That's why. That's the only reason. And he's beating great competition. He's just not fighting enough to get any sort of momentum or any sort of recognition. He came from the M1 global scene, which is like my second favorite regional scene to come from. He's just all in all a really, really good fighter that just no one knows about. But minus 155 feels like a steal on him. It's just, he does a lot of striking, and Guram's a really, really good striker. So I'm a little concerned there, but I believe in him to just mix it up. The only other thing I would watch is the fact that Damir missed weight his last fight and they had to scrap it because he was too heavy. That's not the best look. So all in all, Damir is definitely the better fighter. You're definitely getting a discount on Damir. I just hope that his IQ says take this fight to the ground, because that's going to secure him a win instead of getting a really greasy one. We are in Texas. Guram's last win was a very, very sketchy win. And we are in Texas. So I want no part of this decision because it's going to be a close fight. So the pick is going to be Damir. The bet would probably just be the over 2.5 at minus 220 just to play it safe, because this one has greasy judges written all over it. All right. Next fight of the night. It's an interesting one. We have Albert Durev at minus 220 going up against Joaquin Buckley at plus 180. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 is minus 155. Under 1.5 is plus 125. Let's just get the highlight of Joaquin Buckley out of the way. The spinning back kick. He's spinning back kick. God, what is his name? That African name. It's gonna bother me. Impa Kasagane. He's spinning back kick to house. What are you going to do? It was one of the nastiest knockouts in UFC history. That's cool. Then he goes on and he beats Jordan Wright, who is the definition. He's the glass cannon of all glass cannons. If you touch that guy with your pinky, he goes out. But if he hits you with his thumb, you're going out. It's weird. It's very odd. And he clipped him, and that was that. It's not that hard to do. Alicio Jericho then head kicked him to hell. And then he beat Antonio Arroyo, who has been cut, in a duo of Alvarez Hassan, who has been cut. So Joaquin Buckley, first and foremost, could be a welterweight. He has welterweight experience. I will give it to him that his losses, Jericho's good, and people don't realize how good he is. Kevin Holland is good, and he took that fight on short notice. And he also has a loss to Logan Storley, who is currently the bantamweight interim champ. So good. So he has good losses on his record. It's just his wins aren't really the greatest. He's also getting kicked out of gyms left and right because apparently he has a sorry attitude. He just wants to go in there and knock out all his training partners instead of trying to get better and listening. He just thinks he's the greatest thing. At least that's what James Krause says, who's still trying to fight this man. He does slow down in fights as well. He doesn't have a good, he's another one where he doesn't gas out, but he does slow down. You can see him breathing and hear him breathing. And he might be a little chinny. He has more than one knockout on his record. If you clip this guy, he will go out. So just got to be cognizant of the fact that he has 4 losses, and 3 of them are by knockout. He has 40% takedown defense. That's very, very, very concerning, considering he's fighting a Russian wrestler. He has sneaky good wrestling, but it's offensive wrestling. He has a good double. He'll use his athleticism for a blast double. That's about it. But all in all, he hits very, very hard. He's very, very fast. Has poor takedown defense and poor cardio. On the flip side, you have Albert Derev, who has okay striking. It's not the greatest, in all honesty. The advantage definitely goes to Buckley on the feet. Wrestling, definitely advantage Derev, just because he's Russian. That's all you need, in all honesty. You look at his picture back here, he is loaded. He does this for fun. He is rich. He was rich coming into the UFC. He will be rich leaving the UFC. He does this because he said he loves to fight. Jiu-jitsu is okay. A lot of like arm triangle chokes, things like that, ground and pound, rear naked chokes, your usual top game ones. But he's also a little chinny. You look at his losses. He lost by knockout. He lost to Ramazan Amif, who knocks out absolutely no one, and he lost to him by knockout. He lost by knockout. Oh my God! All 3 of his losses are by knockout. So that's a little concerning. And then he got rocked in his last fight against Roman Kopylov. He almost got finished there too. So all in all, this guy he's a good wrestler, good on the ground. And Joaquin Buckley, these two have trained together. Joaquin talked about when they wrestled, Albert was the better wrestler. And he said when he took him down, he couldn't get up. And when they interviewed Albert, he said, "I'm surprised he took the fight because I dominated him on the ground." So they're both agreeing that Albert's better on the ground. The issue is Buckley saying that those were like shark groups, and like they started on the ground. He's like, he's got to put me there first. I get that mindset. I get that Buckley. They basically both admitted Buckley's better on the feet, Albert's better on the ground. The issue is Buckley has 40% takedown defense. What's going to happen first? Is he going to clip Albert, or is Albert going to get you down to the ground? That's what it comes down to. My bet will always go on the wrestler and a wrestler versus striker unless I have a damn good reason. So the pick is going to be Albert. Bet is going to be Albert. I understand a Buckley shot because, again, every single one of Albert's losses are by knockout, so I totally get it. And it won't be a good line. So it's a bet. I know people that have that bet, or a person that has that bet, and it's not a terrible one, but I'm going to go wrestler over striker any day. So Albert pick, Albert bet. Next fight of the night. You want to talk about greasy. We have Tim Means at plus 220 going up against Kevin Holland at minus 275. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 135. Under 2.5 at plus 105. We got to start with Kevin, because what does Kevin say? What is the one thing everyone knows about Kevin Holland? Wrestling, wrestling, wrestling. The dude can't wrestle to save his life. He has done everything in his power the last few years to get better at wrestling. All the credit in the world to him. Going to DC, going to Habib, going to Johnny. He credits Johnny Hendricks a ton. I applaud Kevin Holland for all the stuff he's doing to improve where he needs to improve. That's what you have to do to be good at MMA. He dropped the weight class. He went from 185 down to 170. He's doing everything right. All the support in the world for Big Mouth Kevin Holland. It's just, if you are a great wrestler, as hard as you train it, if you're a great wrestler, you've been doing it your whole life. So someone just spamming practices compared to someone doing it their whole life just isn't going to work out. But at least he's a very good striker. He's very skinny, but somehow packs a punch, has good power, sneaky good on the ground. No one gives this guy credit for being a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. The dude is phenomenal on the ground. He will have a 6-inch reach advantage here. That's pretty significant. But again, his cardio's okay. He slows a little, not as bad as some of these other guys, but he slows a touch, and 49% takedown defense. His last fight against Oliveira, he kind of got dropped and ended up on the ground, not necessarily taken down. The Kyle Dawkins fight, he stuffed 1,000,001 takedowns from Kyle Dawkins. He stuffed a ton of them. And then they had the head clash and then the weird submission. It was a really weird thing. Got ruled a no contest because he got knocked out by a headbutt. Shit happens. But before that, it was only a 4-minute fight, but he stuffed like 4 or 5 takedowns, and he looked good doing it. So, and he made sure to tell the commentary team about it. So I do respect Kevin Holland for the stuff that he's doing in an effort to be the best, getting at a more appropriate weight class and fix your only issue. The issue I have is Tim Means is a high school wrestling coach at the moment. This man loves to wrestle. He has good volume on the feet, and his striking's not that bad. I came in thinking it wasn't good and he was just a wrestler. He's not. He's actually not. He literally gets 1 or 2 takedowns every single fight. That's what he gets. 1 or 2, book it, every single fight. But at the end of the day, his striking's not that bad. He loves to pressure you, and his cardio checks out. I don't know why I thought he was a wrestler that gasses out. It's not the case. He's pretty decent, but he is 38 years old, so that's a little concerning. His last wins, Nicholas Dalby isn't the greatest. Mike Perry isn't the greatest. Staropoli is not the greatest. D-Rob, he looked competitive for a while, and then D-Rod took him out. Thiago Alves was really old at that point. Nico's not bad, and he lost to him. It's just like he's beating the guys he's supposed to beat and losing to the guys he's supposed to lose to. And in this instance, they want Kevin Holland, the Texas native, to win. So what I have is I think this has split decision written all over it. I think he knows that everyone in the world knows about Kevin Holland and takedown. So he knows he's going to come in and just wrestle his ass off. And he's probably going to get Kevin to the ground a few times. And it's going to come down to that sketchy Texas judging. How are they judging this fight? I would want to just say give it to the hometown kid in Holland. And I think that's what's going to happen. But I think it's going to be a split. Or, don't get me wrong, I've seen Means not knocked out, but rocked a ton. Holland might just put him out. So I think it's either a Holland by KO or Holland by maybe potentially screw job split decision. Either way, I got Holland. So that's the pick. That's the bet. I don't feel great about it because I think it's going to be controversial, but that's what we're going to take. All right. Next fight of the night is a really, really sketchy one. I'm not sure what to do with. It was canceled. I was excited because I didn't know what to do with it then. I don't know what to do with it now. It's back, baby. We got the cowboy Donald Cerrone at -160 going up against Joe Lozon at +140. Over under at 1.5. Over 1.5 -150, under 1.5 at +120. That line is there because of Joe Lozon. The man himself said, I need to finish him early. Cowboy is a slow starter. I don't have cardio. I need to go out there and finish him early. Literally told us the game plan. And you know what? We know about Kevin Holland's takedown defense, and we know about Joe Lozon's gas tank. It is not good. He's very old. He's 38 years old. He is a phenomenal ground game and packs a punch. He comes out, when he hits you hard, but he's very hittable himself. He's very low volume. Man, he's really, really hittable. Like he lands like 3 significant strikes per minute and gets hit like 7. Like you double him up on the feet. His wrestling's okay. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just kind of there. But certain images you can't get out your head. Jonathan Pierce, he just clipped the young kid early in his hometown. Joe was in his hometown. He was amped up. He came out and he clipped the young guy in his MMA or his UFC debut. Got the win. That was 3 years ago. Before that, he got his ass whooped by Chris Gutzmacher. That's not a good look. He got knocked out by Clay Guida. That's not a good look. He lost a decision to Stevie Ray. That is not a good look. So he had some really, really, really bad losses. Then he clipped a young kid 3 years ago, and now he's coming back. You think, who on earth could that man ever beat again? Enter Donald Cerrone. He himself is also not the youngest guy in the division. Donald is currently 39 years old. He's older than Joe Lozon. He has good striking, good jiu-jitsu. He himself has been a little chinny, father time, and he himself has been a little hittable because of father time. He gets hit more than he dishes out, and he can't take a punch anymore either. He's on a losing streak as well, losing to Showtime, losing to Alex Morono, Justin Gaethje, Conor McGregor, Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson. The last win was in 2019 against Al Iaquinta. Here's the difference, though. Joe Lozon is getting his shit rocked by Clay Guida and Chris Guttmacher. Cowboy is losing to Conor McGregor, Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson, Anthony Pettis, Alex Morono. And he's also dropping back down to 155. We will have to watch the weight cut because that is a tough thing to do at almost 40 years old. But if he makes the weight like he did when the fight got scrapped last time, it's not like he got injured or anything. He had a stomach bug. He had food poisoning. Like, that's not going to affect him physically now, as it's been a few months. So, yeah, it's been over a month since that fight was booked. So the pick, I know Cowboy's a slow starter, and I know Joe knows the assignment. I know he understands the assignment, but I cannot trust the man that got knocked out by Clay Guida. So the pick is going to be Cowboy Cerrone. The bet is going to be Cowboy Cerrone. And that takes us to the main event. Not one I necessarily want to bet on, but will enjoy as a fan. We have Josh Emmett at plus 190 going up against Calvin Kattar at minus 235. Over under set at 4.5. Over 4.5 minus 145. Under 4.5 plus 115. Let's start with the old man Josh Emmett. Didn't really realize how old Josh Emmett is. He looked like he was 40 since he was 25. Or basically, he just kind of gives those vibes. But now he is damn near 40. He's 37 years old. Great wrestler, but you don't see it much. He's another Team Alpha Male guy. Good striking, very good striking, a lot better than I thought it was. Phenomenal power. This dude, if he hits you, you go out, basically. Good cardio. I didn't expect that. A lot of in and outs. He darts in and outs with some power shots, and then he leaves. He darts in with some power shots, and then he leaves. That's how he fights. Coming off a torn ACL, not a fan of that. I'm a fan of him getting the win in his last fight. I'm a fan of him getting a win against Shane Burgos after tearing his ACL in the first round. That's very, very, very impressive. But he also can be backed up a little bit, I noticed. He'll just throw counter hooks and then he'll blitz in and then keep backing up. That's kind of how he fights. Not all judges like that. And over the course of 25 minutes, you don't really know what's going to happen here. So he's very, very durable. He's been knocked out by Jeremy Stephens, which, I mean, it is what it is. And then he lost a decision to Des Green. That's it. This man has a plethora of fights, 19 fights, but knocked out once. So he's pretty durable. Calvin Kattar on the flip side is pretty good striking. He likes to go forward. So you have one guy that generally backs up, one guy that generally goes forward. To me, at least, it seems to look a little better for the guy going forward. And for most judges, Texas, wild card. Most judges, the guy going forward, they seem to like a little more. He is just as good striking, if not better. He also has some power, not Josh Emmett power, but he packs a punch. He will have a 2-inch reach advantage here. And he himself is durable. We talked about the ass whooping against Max Holloway. That's all anyone talks about. Well, he survived it. He didn't get knocked out. He didn't get knocked out by Moicano, not by Zabit. The dude has never been knocked out. He's been finished once by submission all the way back in his 4th ever pro fight. So cut him some slack. He's a little more hittable than I thought he was. I know the Max Holloway numbers are going to skew it a shit ton, but even with that fight out, he's still hittable. That threw me off. But, I mean, he looked great. He's 34, so Emmett's 37. It's not the biggest age difference, but he looked great against Giga. He came in with man on a mission. If that Kattar shows up, he's going to win this fight. And honestly, I think he is. I don't have any reason to bet against Kattar. I think it's a pretty even matchup. The only differences I have is Kattar's reach advantage. So, and the fact that he's fought the better guys and common opponents. MMA math doesn't work. But Jeremy Stephens knocked out Josh Emmett and Kattar knocked out Jeremy Stephens. So he only lost to Max Holloway, one of the GOATs. Zabit, undefeated and just quit. Moicano, now at lightweight, and was very good at 45. So he has very, very good losses. So all in all, very close fight, very fun fight. Too close to say with confidence, but if I have to pick a side, give me Calvin Kattar. Probably Calvin Kattar by decision if it juices it any bit for you. And that is UFC Fight Night Katter versus Emmett. Again, very, very good fight card top to bottom. Give this video a like. Hit that subscribe button over on TikTok, over on Instagram, over on Twitter. Make sure you give a follow. It was a rough week last week, but we're coming back with a vengeance. And even if, you know what? No, we're going to crush this week. We're going to absolutely crush it. And we're going to win everyone's money back. Let's get it.